I want to start today with a statistic. Just one number. 40%.
Wow. Okay.
That's a percentage of new manufacturing employees who quit within their first 90 days.
Almost half. That's a staggering number.
Isn't it?
If you saw that kind of churn in, say, a finance department or a software company, there would be an immediate internal investigation.
Of course.
But in manufacturing, for a long time, it's just been accepted, the cost of doing business. But honestly, it's a crisis.
It really is. And to put a human face on that number, I was reading through our source material about an HR director, Sarah Martinez.
Oh, this story. It's painful.
It's a nightmare scenario. She successfully hires 3 new people.
Yeah.
Goes through all the interviews, the paperwork, the checks.
All that investment of time and energy.
Exactly. And she lost all 3 of them in a single week.
And think about the morale hit that takes on the whole team.
Oh, for sure. And the worst part wasn't even the money, though we'll get to that, is what they said on the way out. They all told her the exact same thing. They felt completely lost and unprepared for the reality of the floor.
And that right there, that's the whole thing. Sarah's story isn't unique. It highlights exactly what we're digging into today.
Right.
We're looking at why manufacturing onboarding is just such a different beast compared to, an office job. And more importantly, how a specific set of best practices, things like pre-boarding, structured mentorship, and mobile tech can actually flip those turnover stats on their head.
So let's unpack that, because I think a lot of people might just assume onboarding is onboarding. You sign some forms, watch a video, get a badge.
Right. How hard can it be?
Exactly. Why is the manufacturing version of this so uniquely difficult?
Well, it's the environment, for sure, but it's also the culture and the stakes. Look, if you're onboarding a marketing manager, you give them a laptop, you show them the coffee machine, they sit at a desk.
It's controlled, safe.
It's controlled. They can Google things if they get stuck. But the industrial reality, as the sources call it, is completely different.
Yeah, we're talking loud machinery, moving parts, forklifts zipping around corners. You can't just Google how to operate a hydraulic press while you're standing in front of it.
Exactly. The source material highlights this concept of the deskless disconnect. These workers aren't sitting at computers where you can easily pop up a chat window.
They're on the line.
They're on the line, often working second or third shifts where supervision is much thinner. And the stakes. They aren't just about making a typo in a spreadsheet. We're talking about safety complexity that is literally life or death.
Yeah, the sources mentioned OSHA compliance, hazardous materials. It's intense.
It is. And just think about the cognitive overload. If your day one is someone dumping a 200-page safety manual on your lap and saying, read this, sign it, now go run that giant machine, you're going to burn out immediately.
You're scared, you're overwhelmed.
I'm completely unprepared, yeah.
And that leads directly to that 40% turnover. But I want to pause on the financial impact, because I saw a data point from McKinsey in our stack that it really blew my mind.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
Each time one of these frontline workers leaves, it costs the company about $52,000.
$52,000. It's a massive hit. And I think many managers really underestimate that number because they only look at, the recruitment fees.
Right, they just see the bill for the job ad. But 52 grand covers lost productivity, training materials, the supervisor's time.
And the scrap. That's a huge one. New employees make mistakes. They produce waste. They jam machines. That's all money down the drain. And this connects back to what the supervisors are under. This is the vicious cycle we see. Supervisors have production pressure. They have quotas. They need bodies on the line now. So they rush the training.
Which sounds logical in the short term, right? I'm down 2 people. I need hands. Get them working.
It feels logical, but it's fatal. By rushing the training, you create an employee who feels unsafe and unsupported. So that employee quits.
And now you're back to square one.
But you're $52,000 poorer. It's this entropy loop that just feeds on itself.
It feels like the system is almost designed to fail unless you intentionally step in.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that intervention. The sources point to phase 1. And this was interesting because it happens before the employee even shows up. It's called pre-boarding.
Pre-boarding is, I'd argue, the secret weapon here. The definition is pretty simple. Effective onboarding starts 1 to 2 weeks before the new hire even walks in the door.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate. Isn't this just giving them homework? If I'm a new hire, do I really want to be doing work before I'm even on the clock?
That's a great question. It's not about work. It's about engagement. Think about the friction of the first day.
Right.
Instead of that first morning being spent filling out tax forms in a cramped break room while everyone else is working, you're doing that at home on your phone. You send them digital links for their I-9, sure, but it's more than paperwork.
Well,
You send them safety orientation videos, you send them virtual facility tours.
I do love the idea of the virtual tour. Because, let's be honest, walking into a massive factory for the first time, it's intimidating. It's loud. It's big.
It's incredibly intimidating, and that's the psychological benefit the sources emphasize. It reduces day one anxiety. If I've already seen a video of the facility on my phone and maybe a welcome video from my team, I walk in knowing what to expect. I know where the break room is. I know what the uniforms look like. I'm not coming in totally blind.
It probably helps with the ghosting phenomenon too, right?
Yeah.
Where people accept a job and just never show up.
It happens constantly in this sector. If you engage them digitally for that week leading up to the start date, you're building a psychological contract, not just a legal one. They feel invested. They feel seen.
And there's a stat here that backs that up. Employees who complete digital pre-boarding are 73% more likely to successfully complete their first 90 days.
73%. I mean, that is a massive return on investment just for sending some emails and videos a week early.
And from the employee's side, it just makes sense. Get the boring stuff out of the way so day one can be about, well, the job.
Connection. Exactly. And that brings us to day one and week one. The sources are very clear. Structure is king. You cannot wing this.
And the first rule mentioned is the welcome rule, which is do not send them straight to the production line.
Right.
But again, if I'm that supervisor with a quota to hit, doesn't that just feel like fluff? Let's sit around and have donuts while the line is stopped.
It feels like fluff until you look at the retention data. It seems counterintuitive, I know, but you have to start with a welcome session away from the noise. You establish a connection before you establish a task. If they feel like a cog in a machine in the first hour, they'll treat the job like a disposable gig. If they feel like a team member, they stay.
That makes a lot of sense. Humanize the process. But once you do get to the training, especially safety, the sources talk about moving beyond manuals. They use the term interactive safety. What does that look like?
This is so critical. You can read about how to wear a respirator in a manual, but that doesn't mean you know how to do it. Interactive safety means creating muscle memory.
So not just watching a video of an emergency shutoff.
No. Actually walking to the machine, putting your hand on the lever and simulating the shutoff, actually putting on the PPE, the personal protective equipment, and having someone check the seal on your mask.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Reading about it versus physically doing it. In a panic situation, you want the muscle memory, not the memory of a paragraph you read 3 days ago.
Precisely. And this is where the buddy system comes in, which is another pillar of this phase. But there is a crucial nuance here that I think a lot of managers miss.
Oh, I think I caught this. It's about who you pick to be the mentor.
Yes. The instinct is to pick your best worker. Hey, Bob creates the most widgets per hour, so Bob should train the new person.
But Bob might be the fastest because he takes shortcuts. Or maybe Bob just hates talking to people. We all know a Bob.
Or, and this is a deep point in the research, Bob has reached a level of unconscious competence. He's so good at the job that he doesn't even think about the steps anymore.
He just does it.
He just does it. And that actually makes him a terrible teacher because he can't articulate the basics to a beginner.
That is such a good point. He forgets to mention the little safety catch because he flips it automatically without even looking.
Exactly. So the source material is explicit. The best worker is not always the best mentor. You need someone with patience, someone with high safety consciousness. You want them learning the right way, even if it's slower at first.
And to keep them from getting overwhelmed, the recommendation is progressive learning, using daily checklists.
It's all about avoiding that cognitive overload. Don't teach them the entire machine in 1 hour. Teach them the safety check. That's day one. Then the startup. Then the operation. Break it down so it actually sticks.
Now, running through all of this, the pre-boarding, the checklists, it sounds like a lot of coordination, which is where the deep dive turns to technology, specifically solving that deskless problem.
This is the backbone of it, really. You have to take a mobile-first approach. We have to remember these shift workers often don't have company email or workstation. They need to access their training, their schedules, their updates, all on their phones.
And the sources brought up the night shift problem, which I hadn't really thought about, but it makes perfect sense. If you're a new hire starting at 10 p.m., the HR manager went home 5 hours ago.
That is a classic failure point. The day shift gets the red carpet HR is there, the plant manager is there. The night shift gets a wave from a security guard and a finger pointed toward the locker room.
It creates a huge disparity.
In culture and safety, yeah. So how does technology solve that? You can't force HR to stay until midnight,
Right.
but you can use automated workflows. A digital onboarding system ensures the night supervisor gets the exact same checklist, the same reminders, the same content as the day supervisor.
It's not relying on someone's memory. It's relying on a system.
It's about consistency. It removes the variable of did the manager remember to tell them X? The system ensures it happens every time, every shift. It democratizes the information.
They also mentioned digital signage in break rooms, which, I don't know, feels a bit like screensavers. Why is that a best practice?
It's passive reinforcement. You can't stop the line every hour to remind people about safety. But if screens in the break room are constantly cycling through safety messages or company culture notes, it keeps that information top of mind without interrupting workflow.
Okay, so we have the pre-boarding, the structure, the tech. But how do we know if it's actually working? We started with that 40% turnover rate. Is that the only metric?
It's the golden metric for sure. That 90-day retention rate is the ultimate test, but it's a lagging indicator. By the time you see it, the people are already gone.
So you need leading indicators, like time to productivity.
Right. How long does it take for a new hire to start being a drain on resources and start actually working independently? If you can shrink that from 3 weeks to 1, you save a massive amount of money.
And there was a distinction in the source material that I really liked, and I want to spend a moment on this because it feels fundamental. Competency versus completion.
This is my favorite point in the whole stack. Completion is checking a box.
Did they watch the video?
Exactly. Did they watch the 20-minute safety video? Yes. Check. That's completion. It tells you nothing about their ability. Competency is, can they run the machine safely without hurting themselves?
A very, very big difference.
Huge. And yet so many companies only track completion. The expert advice here is that you need to verify competency. You need a supervisor to physically watch them do the task and sign off on it digitally.
So the system forces that interaction. The supervisor has to say, yes, I observed Sarah performing the lockout procedure correctly.
Exactly. It shifts accountability from the trainee to the trainer. It ensures the knowledge actually transferred.
We have a real-world case study in the notes that brings all this together. A mid-sized industrial equipment manufacturer, about 850 employees.
This is a great example. Their before state was rough. 45% turnover in the first 90 days, and it took them 14 days to get a new hire productive.
2 weeks of just paying someone to not really produce? Wow.
Right. So they did the fix, they overhauled it, they did the pre-boarding, they adopted mobile safety training, and they standardized those checklists.
And the results?
Dramatic. Turnover dropped to 18%. That's a 60% improvement. But look at the productivity stat. Time to productivity dropped from 14 days to 6 days.
Wow. So they kept more people, and those people were useful more than a week sooner.
Exactly. And their safety training completion hit 98%. It just shows that when you treat onboarding as a structured, tech-enabled process, the metrics move fast.
Now, obviously, manufacturing is a broad term. Making a car is different from making a pizza. The sources touched on how you have to tailor this.
You do. The core principles, structure, mentorship, tech are the same, but the content has to shift. If you're in automotive, you're leaning into lean manufacturing just in time.
Whereas in food and beverage,
It's all about HACCP, allergens, sanitation. The risk there isn't just an injury, it's a recall that shuts down the plant.
and pharma is GMP, good manufacturing practices, contamination control.
Right. It has to be specific to the risks of that floor. The worker needs to know why the rules exist in their context.
And it doesn't just stop after the first month, does it? The sources mentioned the long game.
100%. Onboarding has to bridge into continuous learning. If you stop training after 30 days, you get stagnation. The sources suggest cross-training, teaching them Six Sigma, machine maintenance.
Why does that help retention, though? Doesn't that just make them more valuable to other companies?
That's the old fear, but the data says otherwise. It helps retention because it shows them a career path, not just a job. In this labor market, showing someone a future is the best retention tool you have. If they see they can learn a new skill, get a pay bump, they stop looking elsewhere, they start building a career with you.
So let's wrap this up. We started with that scary 40% turnover stat. What's the core message here?
The core message is that manufacturing onboarding has to shift from a sink or swim mentality to a structured journey. We are past the era where you can just throw bodies at a line and see who survives. And that journey has to start before day one.
And we talked about the cost of turnover, that 52 grand. But there's a hidden cost I want to reemphasize. When that new hire quits, who picks up the slack?
The existing team. The people you really want to keep. They have to work overtime. They get burned out covering the gap.
And that creates a domino effect.
It absolutely does. When you have that onboarding, you don't just lose the new person, you risk losing your best veterans because you're working them into the ground.
That is a sobering thought. It's not just about the new person, it's about protecting the team you already have. So here's a final thought for you listening. We talked about a lot of metrics today, but I want you to look at your current process or the process at your company. When a new hire finishes their training, are you verifying competency? Can they actually do the job? Or are you just verifying completion? Did they sign the paper? Because knowing the difference might just be the thing that prevents your next safety incident.
That's the question that matters most.
Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.